welcome to episode 4 of Talking Over Interiors. My name is Ramal, I'm your host, and if this is your first time here, welcome. First episode, we talked about how I moved into a new city, purchased a new sofa, and I wanted to start designing my space. This series is ultimately about how I design my space, but also how design reflects our inner world, but also how the process of redesigning your space can really also align with how we redesign our lives. So, episode 2, we unpacked a lot of my belongings. Last episode, episode 3, we designed the east-facing wall of my apartment. We did a gallery wall, and we also did a mini workspace. And if you go back and watch that episode, you would see that my sofa was on the east-facing wall at the time. Now we're back with the same sofa, which is on the west-facing wall. The reason why I'm using the compass direction is because it's a little bit easier once you guys go into the NORTHSTAR that's linked at the bottom of this video. You get to see the different inspirations for the east wall or the west wall or the south or the north or east-west. So it makes it a little bit easier as I guide you to the inspirations basically from that link. That's why I use the different direction. Anyways, so we are sitting on the west wall now because I don't want my sofa to always be on the east wall. And I don't really think this sofa always wants to stare at this wall as well. The sofa is multifaceted, just like me. Which brings me to the topic of today's episode, embracing a multifaceted identity. So, one of the questions that I hate most, or being asked the most, is what do you do? I don't do just one thing. And I'm not really sure I've ever just done one thing. So it gets me flustered because I know we are expecting, I am this, and then that's it. And usually that is not my story, that it's not my life path. I am an interior designer. I am a creative director. I am a product designer. I am a textile designer. I am a home stager. A couple of years ago, I got a certification in negotiations and also supply chain and procurement. Supply chain and procurement really helps out with my business, but also procurement design. Now, could I be many other things just from that? Yes. I am also an operating director. I've run a few businesses in my past, and now I am the operation director for a nonprofit. I've acquired skills from running businesses while doing design. I've acquired skills from doing businesses while doing construction, and acquiring those skills also made me an operating director. So it's very hard to explain that you are just one thing when you are so many things and you aspire to be even many more things. And I want us to easily start embracing the idea that you just don't have to be one thing. When you're designing your home, we usually get to decide what style of furniture we want to pick, but there's so many different parts of our house that really tells us you are so many things. For example, a coffee table. Now, while we're here on the west wall, like I said, my space is going to change however I feel like it. I might be watching TV one day on the west wall, but I might be having a conversation with some friends. I might be throwing a party. I want to create a space that is useful for all the things that I do and all the things that I am. I'm also a mom and want to create a space for my son. And if there's ever a time he needs to run around, there is a layout here where he can run around and it works. So if I ever want to host some friends over for us to co-work together, because that is also something that I genuinely love and have a passion for, hosting and curating a space for people to come together and work and share ideas to help them grow, whether that's professional development or also just personal development. So ultimately, this series, like I said, we are designing my space. We're having fun with it. And I get to show you the different ways that I plan to live in the space, but also how I design the space and my process throughout. So speaking of designing space, let me show you one of the newest purchases for the home. So I found this Italian marble console table on Facebook Marketplace, okay? Is it a console right now? No, it's not. It's not a console right now. It's a coffee table now. So that's also I guess the great things about having a multifaceted background and just idea to create. I saw this and I said, you know what? My space needs something a little bit more smaller and skinnier and longer because of the sofa. And I don't want a large coffee table because one, it's not a super large space, but two, I don't want to overcrowd the traffic way. The moment I saw this piece and I said, okay, that's perfect. I just need to find a base for it. So we're on a hunt for the base, but until we find the base, we have this beautiful Italian marble coffee table, and I want to style it because we have a coffee table now. And like I said before, a coffee table is just another way to show your personality. Coffee tables and bookshelves in a home is how you really get to know a person. Look on their bookshelves and look on their coffee table. You truly get an idea of who this multifaceted individual is. So I'm going to show you guys maybe 2 ways to style a coffee table, and you kind of have to follow the same process. Books, coffee table books. They're called coffee table books for a reason. People love books. And as long as you're an individual, there is some sort of book that you like. If you're a doctor, you maybe like medical books. If you're a lawyer, maybe like law books. If you are a contractor, maybe you like construction books. However, that doesn't mean just because you're a contractor, you have to like construction books. You may like art, you may like law, you may like pottery. So start with books. If you really want to style your coffee table, books are a key way and a good base to have. Let's see, what else do we have here? A vessel or a vase with some floral, okay? That's always a key. Candles, smell goods. More books. More books. Because here's the thing, you can never have too many books, guys. Now, do I love the flow and the symmetry of this? Probably not, so let's see what we can move around. Again, these are the things I like to have on my coffee table, but you can really have anything, guys. There are some people who keeps a tray in their coffee table so they can throw different things on the tray. For example, eyeglasses. For example, lip gloss, hand creams, candle lighters. Guys, I told myself I would stop saying and I just caught myself saying like 10 times. But here we go. Coasters are important because you don't want to damage your table. What do we think? Like I said, you don't have to overdo this. This is about you. This is your home. Nothing has to be perfect. It just has to be functional for you. And speaking of functional, I love a decorated coffee table. Some people love a coffee table with only just a vase, and that is good enough for them. That is okay too. This is your house. I always find it funny when people try to fixate on the perfect design of their space. Interior design is about what makes you happy, what brings you joy, what sparks conversation. It doesn't have to look like every Pinterest board. It doesn't have to look like every Architecture Digest magazine. It is your table, your space, what works for you. If you want to have action figures all over your coffee table, you are free to do that. So, like I said, it's not rocket science. Literally, you can decorate your coffee table in probably less than a minute. I am going to try to do a slightly different aesthetic, just to kind of, change it up a little bit for you. I'll be back. There you have it. Something simple, slightly different, a little bit more heavy, less colorful, but it really depends on how you want to do. I probably could put a little bit some flowers here, which I might just do. But like I said, guys, your coffee table is supposed to be simple. And probably as I live through the space, it's going to be change, depending on my mood, depending on the layout that I create, etc. So the first coffee table design was a little bit more casual. This one's a little bit more polished, so I think we can do better here. For example, I don't think we need these anymore. I also think right here. Now, two things should always be in your coffee table, in my personal opinion. Should be books, but also flowers. Now, because I already used up the flowers, we're gonna recreate some right here. This is also a nice piece. If I really wanted to leave it on the coffee table, I could as well. Okay. So we have some candlesticks, and you can put candlesticks in your actual candlesticks holder if you wanted to, or leave it there. I have books. These are architectural books, by the way, and houses books. I have a tiny tray, and like I said, your coffee table and your bookshelves always tells you a little bit about a person. For example, I have some tarot cards here because I love doing tarot, and you just learned something else about me. So here, so this is going to be our flowers, and this is actually some dried flowers that I kept from the last bouquet that I did with you all from the last episode. Flowers are expensive. You don't have to throw out your flowers all the time. You can keep it and have it be dry flowers also. So that way, some people enjoy the look of a dry flower. Some people don't, but I enjoy both fresh flowers and dry flowers, and I think it can definitely be a cool way to bring some design elements into your space if you want. So ultimately, as we go through this series, we're going to basically design the space using the things that I love, the design processes that I love, but also redesigning this space to really fit my life and my son's life. Next week, we're going to talk about possibly the south or north, and you'll get to see how really multifaceted I can really live in a space. But ultimately, I think it's just about breaking down some stereotypes. I think there's so many young people, or there used to be, at least when I was young, that felt like they go to school, they become this thing, and then that's it. And I think that's also why when people try to pivot in their careers, it's so much anxiety, because they felt like they had to be that one thing that they committed to. And now choosing to give up that thing or say, hey, I don't only want to do this thing, it feels taboo. Society made us feel like when you're doing many things and you have many different identities, maybe there's something wrong with you. And when someone asks me the question of what do you do for a living, or what do you do, I don't want to have anxiety. I don't want to. I also don't want to feel like I'm boasting, because I also think that's part of it. How dare you do 6 things when you should only be doing 1, you know? So really, it's just about breaking down these barriers and embracing all of who we are and what we do. Because I am not just one thing. And maybe that's because I'm a designer. I feel like I'm just not that one thing. All right. What do we think so far? All right. So we have our flowers. I have a little tray. We have our books. We have some coasters if you want to drink. And voila, here's a different look of really designing your coffee table. I recently came across, what was it? An Instagram post that I think it was Right Brained. Where is my phone? I recently came across this post from Right Brained Humans, and it said, so it reads, the beauty of being a designer is that you're never just a designer. I have met designers who play in bands on the side, prepare and cook exotic dishes in the early hours of the morning, build furniture in the weekend, and study law after work. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's our need to stay curious, or the fact that a new experience fuels our creativity. It could also be the natural desire to build and create something that can't be confined in a specific medium or context. The movement between different interests isn't a waste of time for us. It's how we make space for our lives, and it's how our best ideas grow. And it makes us just not better designers, but it allows us to bring our whole selves, our interests, our passion, our perspective to every single thing that we create. And that makes me think the real reason designers are never just designers isn't accidental at all. It's essential to the will and the who we want to be. So I say all this to say, I am not just a designer. I am so many different things, and I am trying to embrace all of those things. Starting this series is another way that I am embracing a different side of me. And I hope that we all can embrace all the many sides of us, whether that's you doing it in your home, in your coffee table, or just pivoting and adding more interests and hobbies into your life. Thank you.